I think the biggest thing that we did 7 or 8 years ago was get our own R&D testing team for research and development. There's a lot of SEO myths out there for what does and doesn't work. So now everything that we do, from whether it's in the local kind of lead generation niche up until the casino or porn or finance industry, we're in pretty much every industry you can think of, whether it's affiliate or lead generation. There's different nuances that work in certain industries that don't work in others.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the SEO Entrepreneur Show. In this episode, I'm going to be interviewing James Dooley. Did I say that correctly, hopefully?
Okay, certainly did,
perfect. Yeah, so thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so if you'd real quickly give like a short little, elevator pitch of, where you started, and we'll get into the details, but, where you're currently at, where you started and where you are now.
Yeah, so started out initially in the construction industry, needed a website being built, quickly got into SEO, met with some good people early on in the industry from like Warrior Forum and Black Hat World initially to start with. Started to realize that obviously with certain penalties that come along with certain Black Hat techniques, that it's better to build longer term kind of white hat brands and stuff like that. So got more into brand building and started to realize with neighboring niches how I could get into different industries, which would then kind of tie into the industry that I'm in now, which initially started out building playgrounds and sports pitches. And then from there now we're in over 650 different niches on rank and rent and lead generation. And a lot of it kind of starts to tie into each other with cross sells and upsells and stuff like that. So it's been a long journey, but it's been a successful one. So it's been good.
Right. That's amazing. So how did you end up discovering SEO?
I had a website built. It wasn't ranking. So I rang up the web designer and said, "Hey, you've not done your job." And he says, "I'm a web designer. I'm not an SEO." I was like, "What is SEO?" And then realized there's a whole algorithm behind Google. Started to try to reverse engineer it. Failed miserably for the first few years. And then started to network a lot more, kind of talk to the right people, do the right SEO courses. Things started to progress from there. And then I think the biggest thing that we did 7 or 8 years ago was get our own R&D testing team for research and development. There's a lot of SEO myths out there for what does and doesn't work. So now everything that we do, from whether it's in the local kind of lead generation niche up until the casino or porn or finance industry, we're in pretty much every industry you can think of, whether it's affiliate or lead generation. There's different nuances that work in certain industries that don't work in others. And yeah, we share data with other people that do testing, and yeah, it works nicely now, where back then when we didn't have the test data, we kind of listened to people who shared stuff in, whether it's on Facebook, on Twitter, online, and we went down the rabbit hole of testing lots of different things out, and a lot of them failed miserably. But like you said, it's you need to start somewhere, and it's about you win or you learn. And that's kind of what the team mentality was from day one. And with, like you said, I've mentioned it a couple of times already, but I don't know many people that's failed as much as us when we first started, but we bounced back up, and the bounce back ability of failing to where you are today is very, very important, especially in an industry within SEO that does change on a month by month basis. I mean, the core fundamentals will always be there of content and links, but what type of links work, what type of content works, what type of topical authority works and stuff like that. And then when you start throwing in engagement signals and stuff like that as well, then it can start getting a little bit messy.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to get into that kind of granular detail, especially on the engagement side, because I know you're big on engagement signals and user experience, and I'm really loving that recently. So I really want to dive into that component. I think it's a very big missed piece of SEO, like huge. Sure. So not to get too amateur here, but how did you make your first dollar online? I'm really interested in that.
So it was just in literally building out artificial sports pitches and playgrounds. We started ranking like very local to where we are in Manchester in the United Kingdom. So it was ranking in local terms. It was almost like literally keywords in your title tag, get the keywords in 3 or 4 times on the page and you could rank in your local town. Then we started expanding on different towns and stuff like that, and going for the county and going for the major cities around where you work, and then just keep developing from there. And then in time, we started ranking in 100, 200 different areas. That started to generate the leads. And then we started to realize there's so many different variations of keywords. from keyword research. Back then, I wasn't using stuff like SEMrush and Ahrefs. It was just old school, type something into Google and see what came on the auto suggest and then write an article about that. There was no keyword clusterization or grouping of keywords and stuff. It was pretty much, there's certain probably pages now that I'd merge into one page that I just did dedicated pages for every single keyword I could think of. And back then it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Like you said, over the years now, we've started to fine tune quite a lot of what we do, and everything's mathematical and predictable now with how we do our SEO and strategies.
Yeah. It's funny because I talked to so many SEOs who got started in the last like 4 or 5 years. I always tell them, like, you don't understand how much easier it is to do SEO now. I mean, it was a lot of guesswork before, and like we basically, I personally just relied on the Google Keyword Planner basically for my keyword research at one point. So, and then other than that, it was just like trying to understand the industry. So in a way, it was actually beneficial because we were forced to think about like, what are the nuances within this industry? And then we just created content around that, which is kind of what we've reverted back to now. People are like, well, you just need to study the industry. So, but I'm glad you brought that up. So right now, how are you making money in SEO?
So I think we've got 682 rank and rent sites that are successfully being rented out at present. They're in approximately 650 different industries, but not all 650 industries are working. We've got 8 affiliate sites in the gambling, casino, slots, bingo industry. And then our biggest growth came from growth by acquisition. So what we started to realize was I got a very good financial advisor on board who obviously the biggest expense within the business was content and links. So then we started to realize, well, instead of using all these different agencies, why don't we just buy some of these agencies, which is kind of the method we went down. So we acquired a content agency that had 47 content writers. We acquired a link building agency for like the guest posts and the niche edits. And we then started to like build out our own PBN network, which, to be fair, we don't do much on the PBN front much anymore. And a lot of our stuff now it sounds very white hat, but we build good quality content. We build like making certain we've got data-driven, statistical data type content. And then we will build links to those pages to physically try and rank them. And then once they start ranking, they do naturally start acquiring links. Like it was when I first started out in the industry, the white hats would say, oh, build good quality content and the links will come. And they're like, they're not coming. But then what we started to do now, we started to understand that methodology where we know certain keywords or certain pages would actually naturally attract links, or infographics or videos and stuff like that could actually get you the backlinks that you need. So physically build the links to those pages initially to give them the boost. And then I'm so surprised now by I think people link out a lot more than they ever did nowadays. SEOs are taught that linking out's good. So if you're ranking and you've got a good quality article, you are naturally going to acquire quite a few links, which is good.
Right. Yeah. So I want to go back to the acquisition side of this. So I think it's fascinating because I'm assuming your rationale for doing the acquisition of the content agency and the link agency is you wanted to acquire their systems, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay. Yeah. So we tried to set up certain processes and systems, and we started to realize, like, let's say on the guest post front, that these people we could buy the guest post from them. And even if we went directly to the website owner to get a guest post put on their site, they was trying to charge us more than what the link building agency was. And again, it was to do with volume of kind of links that they was buying from these website owners. So we started to realize that the buying power that these link agencies have got, combined with the processes and systems of getting good quality. I think another big one as well with the acquisition was we became really annoyed with certain link vendors because there was placing links on manipulated DR type, manipulated traffic guest posts. And yes, they hit the remit of it was a DR50 or DR60 or whatever, but it was clearly manipulated. And still to this day, there's I don't mean to badmouth, I'm not going to mention any names, but there's so many kind of people that sell links that they shouldn't be selling links on the sites that they are. The clear guest post farms, they're part of like bad link neighborhoods and stuff like that. They're toxic. They're probably going to have a detrimental effect on these people that are buying these type of links. But people are still buying them because they see that oh, traffic and DR is the metric that you need. And it's sad to see, but I suppose they need to go through the process of failing like we did when we started out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I have people in the training, sometimes we'll review like link opportunities, and someone will submit one. It'll be like DR60 and it has 10,000 organic search visits a month. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Let's dig into it. So first we look at the links. Oh, okay. Links are garbage. Then we look at the traffic. And of course, this is the part where people get really thrown off because they think traffic equates to quality, which is not true, right?
Yeah.
So, and they don't realize that traffic can also be manipulated on Ahrefs and SEMrush. So I can create my own keyword and drive bot clicks to that keyword and juice the search volume. It's very easy. Any like amateur black hat SEO knows this. But so how are you safeguarding against that? I mean, what's your kind of qualification process look like for a link opportunity?
So with regards to backlinks on quality control, because now we own the agency, now we've got all these extra measures in place where initially to clients that just want traffic and DR, the traffic manipulation, you can manipulate the search volume in Ahrefs. But then you can also just rank for certain stuff like error codes on cars. And some of these have got like 50,000, 40,000 monthly searches, and you only need to rank position number 3 or number 4. And the predicted traffic with Ahrefs would say that you're getting 2, 3, 4,000 clicks on this guest post. There's certain telephone numbers that people can rank for with regards to if you wanted to cancel your Sky or Virgin kind of account, they don't want to show you the telephone number. But if you rank for it, again, it gets 30, 40,000 monthly searches. So these sites are manipulated. So we do our link prospecting. We just generally look, sometimes with the naked eye, you can clearly see the traffic's been manipulated for what they're ranking for. We check to see what previous kind of articles that they've written. And if it's an article on casino, an article on porn, an article on CBD, and an article on construction, you're knowing they just accept guest posts for anything. So at that point, we're like, no, we're not interested. We use link research tools for toxicity. We use SEMrush for spam scores. We use Majestic for trust flow and citation flow. So it is a broad, like, if you speak to any data scientist, the more data that you have, the better. So we try and get every little bit of data that there is, put it into our we've got our own in-house built simulator with whether it's a good link or whether it's a bad link. And we use that for a lot of our clients as well. And we try not to go after volume of links. It's more short and like just 4 or 5 quality links can move a page. One good link can move a page, and it can move a page within 3 or 4 days. It's alarming how quickly it can move, where a lot of link vendors will say, oh, it takes 2-3 months before the link to start showing effect. And it's like, well, an actual good link can move the needle within a week. It's just majority of them at this day now with Google are zero value. Google see that these are guest post farms and they're not good, even though they might look like a DR65 and they get traffic. So there is a lot of parameters that we put in place. We probably go overkill. I would be a link vendor's nightmare for being a customer, a nightmare. So that's why I needed to buy the agency and own it myself, and then we can put the quality control measures in place.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the big debate obviously is, and I know Matt Diggity feels a certain way about this. I know he's one of your buddies, but as far as link relevance, how much emphasis do you put on that?
So we do have, so within the simulator, back in the day, ONG came out with a reverse link or swim. Keywords in your title tag makes it a relevant link. And do you know what? Back in the day, that did used to work really, really well. Since they moved over to NLP categorization, a lot of people don't use NLP categorization with regards to what is a relevant link and what isn't a relevant link. Now, we've tested this in depth. And if you want to know the honest truth, you can move the needle with irrelevant links. Absolute fact. You can move the needle with irrelevant links. We've got so much test data on it to say you do not need relevant links. However, traffic is a massive ranking factor. And if we now physically try to rank, almost like parasite SEO, we try to rank our guest posts. If it's a niche edit, well, it's just more about power. But if it's a guest post, we want to try to rank our guest posts for what we want our money site to rank for. And if we can try to rank us number one and the guest post number two, happy days. And so we do get relevant links, but is it the holy grail? No. I'd say more make sure you've got a low toxicity, high trust, and a high powerful link. But we do relevant links, if that makes sense. So it's I wouldn't want to turn around and start saying you can go and get all the relevant links and it's going to move the needle, because on the flip side to it, we've done mass 301s previously. And when we've done a mass 301 with a relevant site, we've seen really good gains. When we've used it on an irrelevant site where it's got thousands of irrelevant backlinks, we have seen declines. So there's an argument, there's a debate. I could sit on one side of the debate and say, you need relevant links. I can sit on the other side of the debate and say, I have built irrelevant links and it's moved the needle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's tricky because obviously, you know, who's going to turn down a link from Huffington Post or Forbes or any of these authority sites? They're not technically relevant, right? I mean, to that core relevance. So I think it definitely comes down to having a nice blend, right? You got to do a little bit of both.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, not only that is when you talk about relevance, what you talk about relevance, is it page level relevance, domain level relevance, paragraph level relevance? There's so many different levels to what is a relevant link. You could have an article about a butcher's, but they might have gone to the casino and won loads of money in the casino and naturally linked to that casino. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an irrelevant page level link. It's on a butcher's website, but the articles talks about their Christmas do where they went to a casino and won some money. So I would if I was doing the training, I would say go after relevant links. I feel that they probably would move the needle further and try to physically rank your guest posts. We're a big advocate of actually powering up your guest posts to physically try to rank them. More, obviously, it passes more link juice or page rank and stuff like that, but just physically try and rank as many properties as you can online. Try to rank your images, try to rank your videos, try to rank your Google business profile if you're in local. Just try and rank everything and try and rank your links that are pointing through to your site, and the whole traffic and engagement and behavioral signals that come from Pinterest and Twitter and everything else that comes along with it. It just skyrockets your whole site. And that's one of the most under talked about things, I would say, in SEO. People talk about topical authority, technical SEO, backlinks and stuff like that. But like we've done stuff where I know Google says running PPC doesn't help your SEO. However, we know running PPC helps your SEO, but it's not turning on your PPC account and having the trust signals of having a PPC account. It's the level of traffic that starts going through to your pages on your site that starts to give it a lift. And it's very clear from our testing that when we've run Facebook ads or Twitter ads or run PPC, there's been an uplift in organic rankings, and it's to do with the behavioral signals and engagement, as opposed to Google saying, oh, we're going to reward clients that run PPC, because I don't think that they do that. I think it's two different departments, but I do feel the behavioral signals of it helps with better ranking.
Yeah. And so would you say that's because so let's call it kind of like a secondary ranking factor. So it's not a direct. So you drive the paid traffic to the pages that you're trying to rank. And as a result, people engage on those pages and they're using Chrome. So they're tracking all that data and that gets cross-pollinated across the other platforms.
Exactly that. I tell you what's quite scary. Now, I don't know the full understandings of this, Nathan. I wouldn't say I'm more of a businessman than technical, but Google can detect traffic, even if it's not in Google Chrome, even if it's not from Gmail, even if it's not from, like, there's so many different factors, even if it's not
everything
on an Android and stuff like that. Some people talk about some DNS 8.8.8 and DNS 8.8.4 and stuff like that. They can detect traffic like there's no tomorrow, way more than what you think. And the direct traffic from email campaigns we've seen to that, web notifications, traffic through to pages, give it a boost like there's no tomorrow. But you've got to try to build, but this is where you say, try to build up your audience for, like, you've got a nice YouTube subscriber list and stuff like that, which might then generate your traffic through to your site. If you've got a Twitter following, all that kind of starts building up. We've had some stuff where all what we did was build out a mass Pinterest account in women's clothing, stuff like that on an e-commerce. And that level of traffic that was going through caused some of our pages, they should not have been ranking for certain terms. And I'm pretty certain it was from the Pinterest traffic alone that was coming through that just Google was rewarding us. We was way behind on the quality of links. We was way behind even on the quality of content. But the level of traffic that was coming through from social media was what I feel was helping it to rank so much better.
Yeah. And I think this is just my theory, obviously, just because from my testing as well, that it's really what happens after that traffic gets there, right? Yeah. When the traffic gets there, all of the magical stuff that tends to happen, now they're consuming the content. And maybe they reshared the content on Pinterest. Maybe they bookmarked the page. Maybe there's some sort of signals are occurring. And the funny thing is, I know everyone hates GA4, right? But there's one thing in there that's so sneaky that I because I've been doing my screaming frog crawls, and there's the engagement rate in there. And now what I can do in my crawl is I can see the engagement rate of every single page on my site. And come to find out, there's a direct correlation between poor engagement rate and poor SEO performance. So what I do is I've connected all of those together. So now I have, GA4, Google Search Console, Ahrefs. I got them all connected. So I could see that data across the board. And I've been showing some examples like on my, on my various channels. But one thing I've been doing recently is I've installed Mouseflow, which is the one I'm currently using. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but you could use Hotjar or any of the tools. It doesn't really matter, but some sort of UX tracking tool. What I do is I've been recording every single one of my organic pages and just seeing like what is happening on these pages. And you can, within seconds, you can see if what they're doing on the page, and if they're bouncing, they're not scrolling, like there's any type of bad signals, like that needs to be fixed. Yeah. And I've been testing it too. So like we'll find one with poor user engagement. We'll rework the page. Maybe the intro's too long. Maybe the headline's bad, whatever else. And then we republish, put it through SEO testing. And I'd say like 99% of the pages we've done this on have gotten better results. I mean, it's just like without fail, because really what you're doing, this makes sense, obviously, because you're just making your page better, right? It's no big secret here, right? But it's using that data to your advantage. So I'm assuming, have you seen similar types of testing?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I'm not clued up on the GA4. It's been frustrating for me with moving over to GA4. But what we have done, quite a lot of what we do now with regards to acquisitions is because we've got a big testing team and R&D team. We've moved a lot into, because we've got successful sites, and we're kind of like, right, okay, let's maintain what we've got there. The ranking, majority of them are ranking position number 1 for our main keywords, what we want to. What can go wrong? So now we've started to move into like EEAT penalties, unnatural link penalties. So we've set up a disavow and something called Backlink Doctor, which does like link audits and stuff like that. Do disavows work? And we wanted to understand firsthand, do they actually work? Because so many people said that they did, and we wanted to know whether they did. Is EEAT actually a thing, or is it just spoken about by SEO influencers of being, this is really important or not? So we wanted to get into these markets of like, okay, what happens if we did this? And then the other one was what you're talking about there, where you improved your kind of the worst quality pages with regards to behavioral signals. We wasn't actually looking at that in GA4. I didn't know about that. So that's very good. And we could now start to look at this even more so. We took over some sites that have been massively penalized. These sites was doing 1 million clicks a month in the affiliate marketing space for like Amazon and stuff like that. And they've been decimated, right? And they've tried everything that they can to recover it and said, look, you can pretty much have the site and we'll split 50-50 on whatever you can make. It's making a few £1,000 a month in Bing, making nothing from Google. So we've put them test beds together over the last 2 years, and our success rate for recovering sites has been phenomenal. Now, I can't put my finger on the exact one thing that we've done, but a big one that we did do was content pruning. So we would go into clusters of being, we're not an authority in this. We've spread ourselves too thin. We're talking about gaming chairs and gardening and this. So we're like, what do we want this site to be? And everything that wasn't ranking, we pruned and took off. we did the disavow, we did the EAT, kind of everything related to EAT, just things like the meet the team, the about us page and everything like that. And so many sites we've managed to recover. And yeah, we want to get into that more because we want to see exactly what's working. And more so now within the industries and our networking, so many people are hit with penalties and they pay good money because they might be earning £100,000, £300,000 a month. So now only earning £5,000-10,000 a month, they'd pay even if they paid 2 months' earnings, that's £500,000 for a recovery. So we wanted to get into it more, and then the more we got into it, the more we started to realize some SEOs say, when was the last time someone had an unnatural links penalty? And I'm like, I know 5 or 6 last week that people got manual action unnatural link penalties, because that's what we do for people. So I'm like, and then we know, because we're then going back and forth with the reconsideration requests with Google, we know what links are they saying, because they start telling you, well, you've not outreached to these and this is a toxic link. So we get in that information, which we can feed into the link agency. There's nothing with regards to, I've seen, and I might be completely wrong, it's just we've not come across it yet on the thin quality pages. I've not seen a manual action penalty for that. But literally, we've took over certain sites where we deleted 40% of the site, and the site shot up in rankings by deleting 40% of the pages that wasn't performing.
I've seen that too.
But then the big one, which we only came across in the last 4 or 5 months, and I don't know whether you know about this, there's manual action or for transparency penalties now that Google are doing. Now, I was always like skeptical of being, is EAT actually a thing? And then when we started to see these or for transparency penalties, mainly there's a lot that happens in Google News, a lot happens in the finance industry, Money or Life, but these are starting rolling out now across a lot of industries. They only started out in them industries to start with because Google was getting serious problems with people saying this is how you get a 6-pack, and they could be selling certain diet pills that was bad for people's health and stuff like that. So they needed to try and step in with who is behind the articles that's being written. But when we started to see the offer transparency penalties, at that point, we started to realize, wow, like, no, we do need to start like up in the kind of quality of everything that we do with Meet the Team, About Us, and everything else that kind of goes with what a real business would do. Privacy policies, cookie policies, everything that a real business would do. Now, even if it is just a rank and rent in a local area, we want to tick every box that we can just to future-proof what we're about.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because it's like before with SEO, it used to be kind of just you could pull a few levers and a lot of things would change. But now it's like when people tell me they're not ranking, I'm like, well, it could be about 500 different things. So like we have inside of our system, we have this diagnosis checklist, and I just go through every single possible thing. Like I'm at the point where it's like, I want to be able to just do process of elimination, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, there's just so many variables. You can't really pick one. It could be page speed. Yeah. It could be quality of the content. It could be the link quality. I mean, you could get so granular with so many of these variables. So it's almost like you got to just really go through the process and just eliminate everything that it could not be, and then go from there. So exactly, it's just what you're describing is so funny, because I bet if we had this conversation like 9 years ago, it'd be like, let's just build PBNs, let's slam the site. Like, it'd be a lot more simple. But now it's like, well, we gotta. And the funny, it comes so full circle, because now at this point, like good SEO is just building a good business, right? Yeah. Like that's it. So I want to ask you about specifically this concept of digital real estate. All right. I think it's a really, really interesting. And actually going back to what you said earlier about kind of blanketing the first page, I think that's not talked about a lot, right? I think a lot of people get so focused on like their website. And I've had leads come in and they're doing well on Amazon, right? They're like dominating Amazon organically in Google, like with their listing. And they're like, but we want to invest in our website. And I'm like, why would you want to invest in your website? Like keep investing in these properties that you already have authority on and just dominate there. And they want to start with a fresh website when they already got domination going. So it's kind of a weird dynamic. People get a little confused about that, because I think the goal is obviously to just we want to flood the first page. So, and I've seen this in my own business too, where like specifically, if I tried to rank for SEO on my website, it would never happen, right? Because I would need like a billion links to be able to even get there. And plus, it's a terrible keyword to rank for anyway.
Yeah.
But funny thing is on YouTube, if I publish on YouTube, I rank on the first page of Google for SEO the day of, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk about how your thought process goes into trying to occupy more SERP real estate? And then we'll talk more about kind of like the actual digital real estate component that you're involved in.
So with regards to more digital real estate, obviously, I touched upon it before. We want to rank. We want to be number one in Google Images. We want to be number one in Google Videos. We want to be number one in YouTube. We want to be number one in web search. If we can get number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, happy days. We want all the real estate that we can get. Everything that we're doing, how we're doing it can we do it to a better standard to try to rank that? Now, whether it's let's say like a social fortress that you put around your site that some people call it. We still do that with regards to branded links and stuff like that. But couldn't we rank our guest posts? Could we do parasite SEO? Because parasite SEO is working better than it ever has, to be honest with you, at present.
Would you mind just describing parasite just for people that don't know about the method?
Parasite SEO is like a very large news publication site, or Huffington Post or Forbes or Outlook India or The Sun, The Telegraph, trying to get a guest post on there, which might cost upwards of $1,500, $2,000. So it's expensive. But when you send the tier 2 backlinks, when you write a good quality article now, I don't know what kind of content optimization tools that you're using, maybe ClearScope, Market Moves, Surfer, OnPage.ai. There's several out there, Phrase. They're all good, kind of pulling in what entities should be on the page. But when you go and write a perfect outline with all the right H2s, you get the right entities on the page, you can share that out to all of yours. If you've got a social media following, so it's getting traffic through to that page as well, you hit a couple of tier 2s, like could be PBNs or niche edits to that will rank. Now, what we try to do, where we try to be a little bit creative, is if we've got 2 or 3 sites in the space of, let's say, SEO, and you're trying to rank for SEO link building, our parasite page might be talking about best link building companies, so the plural, and we'll put obviously us number 1. We might mention 1 or 2 of our friends, let's say Diggity, number 2. We might then put one of our other brands at number 3 and number 4, and then we might throw in Matt Woodward as number 5, or somebody else that's doing the Hoff and stuff like that, Fat Joe. We put them in there, but we're putting us at like 1, 3, 4, and 5 or something like that. Now, obviously, that's going to get a lot of traffic through to it. It's ranking for the plural, which is difficult for your website to rank for the plural term of companies or agencies. And Parasite is using somebody else's high DR, powerful site, doing a really quality article on there, going after the plural term, that's sending link juice or page rank, but it's also sending traffic through to those pages. You're taking up more digital real estate within Google. It's just more traffic that's coming through, which then hopefully converts to either more orders, more sales, whatever it is that you're looking to do, more affiliate clicks, or if you do display ads, getting paid on more impressions on the display ads.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned the types of links that you build to these parasite pages. So I know that's where people get a little thrown off. They think that maybe they have to build really high quality links to these pages, but the truth is you don't really have to do that. But there's obviously some ethical implications as well, right? Like you go on someone's site that they've worked to build, and then you slam their site with a bunch of nasty stuff, which some guys do, which I'm a little torn on that, you know.
I don't turn around. What I wouldn't go and turn around and do, there's certain tools like, say, Money Robot, SEO Autopilot, GSA. Right. Now, they actually still work at tier 2, but I'm not going to go and slam a site and hit 5,000 backlinks through to a site that's allowed me to do a post on their article. Now, some say why, because the Telegraph can take it, and I'm like, well, it can take it, but ethically, it's not something that we do. We're trying to do it to bolster the article that we've written so that ranks. It's actually better for their site that we're doing it, because we want that page that we've done to rank as high as it can be. We don't just worry about page rank's the last thing we worry about, even though we know that if we get that page ranking, it's probably going to attract more links as well, naturally, that will pass more page rank through. We're more bothered about, can this send traffic through to our site? If it can, we want traffic juice, so to speak. And that's kind of which leads to page rank.
Well, the thing that's interesting is, especially with parasite SEO, like I think some people neglect the fact that like when you're hitting a site that already has massive authority, it doesn't take as much authority to raise the page authority, right? So like you don't need a massive amount of links. Like if you get a couple really solid links to that parasite page, like that authority is going to lift pretty quickly. It's just like how if Forbes publishes an article, they rank on page 2, like today, right? You know, it's just because they have so much strength. So
one other thing that works very, very well, if you are negotiating an article to be written on a big domain, is, which then you won't need to do tier 2 backlinks. If you go into Ahrefs, sort by best buy links on their site and see whether, if you post this article, look at an article that might be strong on their site and just get one internal link through to it. That one internal link through to that page, that new dashboard page, it powers it. You don't need to do tier 2s. You're pretty much going to be ranking for the title tag that you've put in pretty much instantly. Literally within 24 hours, you'll be there if it's a good parasite domain of what you're looking at.
Right. Yeah, very, very interesting. So that's kind of on the SERP real estate side. So obviously on the digital, now you said you have over 600 rank and rent websites. So man, operationally, that must be a lot of fun. Yeah. So how are you handling that operationally? And then talk about kind of like what the strategy is there as far as those sites.
So a lot of these sites, once you've actually got them, if they're in local, so we try to get them where ideally if we can get them up to the earnings of 5,000 a month, that's kind of, and it sounds daft, I'm not saying we cap it at £5,000 a month, but we get to a point where we was trying to get it to 6, 7, 8, 9,000 pound a month and stuff, and it was costing us too much to get it to ranking for national terms. So some of these are like, they'll rank for, let's say, a plumber or an electrician, or we try and dig down really deep into, like, so I'll give you a niche. We dealt with a plumbing company and we realized after a while that we was generating them leads for fixing taps and they wasn't making much money. But then we realized, and it was only after working with them for 18 months, that their most profitable service that they did was installations of wet rooms. And we wasn't targeting that. So then when we built a dedicated site out for wet rooms, that pretty much within 6 months got to us earning £5,000 a month. And it probably only cost us about 20,000 in total to physically rank the website.
Because it's so granular. So
it's so granular. It's so like not many people have got a dedicated site on it. And we just had a site, and not only that, the conversion of the site, because we was just wet room specialists. That's it.
Smart. Super smart.
We don't do fixing taps. We don't do, even though part of a wet room is doing showers and stuff like that. It was just, we are wet room specialists. All the videos was wet rooms. All the images were just wet rooms, and that was it. From that, then, a lot of the times we speak to a client. There might be a financial advisor, and you speak to them, and then they might say, yeah, well, I do pensions, I do mortgages. And it's only when you start going granular into where they make the most money, you do a little sub niche of it, which might only get 200-300 monthly searches, but they're so profitable. And once you find that niche and you can dominate, and you can then rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Once you know those micro keywords that you can go after, that's where you make your money. Some of these big keywords that people chase that might be getting 30, 40,000 monthly searches, where all the other SEOs are chasing it, a lot of them are informational based terms. They're not bottom of the funnel. The top of the funnel keywords that everyone's chasing, and the real money's in the bottom of the funnel. Now, don't get me wrong, you still need a lot of topical authority around the bottom of the funnel terms, but too many people chase search volume and not really looking at the monetary value. They don't sit down and listen to the business owner of what makes them money. And that's the big thing that what we're good at. We niche down very specifically. A lot of the sites, after maybe 18 months of work on it, some sites we've not logged into for 2 years. Like, we've literally done no backlinks. We've done not with, like, if ever they dropped in rankings, we'd do something. But some of these sites have stayed there. We've got, like, it goes against everything with regards to link rot, content rot. like, oh, it's not freshness of content and all the rest of it, but because they're so easy, the terms are so easy, and we have got the authority now. We have got the best backlink profile. We have got the best content. Why is Google going to change us? They're not. Like, we are the best in that niche. They're going to keep us there. And that's where we took the approach of, like you was asking about the digital real estate, how did you get into this? Like, people think McDonald's is a fast food business. Actually, McDonald's is a real estate business. They own the real estate. That's what they. If you go under companies like the company of what they're listed under, they're listed under real estate, not fast food. And it's because they own. It's because they rent out the properties, and it's only the property that they rent out flip burgers and sell burgers and chips. But actually, they're a real estate company, and that's where, if you actually ever watched the film of the McDonald's film and stuff like that, it's a really intriguing story about owning the real estate. And we quickly understood that I ain't doing client SEO work, because if they want to change the color of a button from green to blue, and the background of the site's blue, and the call to action is not going to stand out, and we've split tested using Hotjar or VWO or whatever kind of CRO kind of tools that you use, we want it green because we know that it converts. So if we own the site, we say, look, we're having it green. Like, you're getting the leads, you're getting the conversions, this button's green. Where if it's their site and they want it blue, it's the tail's wagging the dog. We've got to go, okay, sir, we'll change it to blue, even though it doesn't convert. Or you've got to explain to him in big, long emails and telephone calls of why you're doing it as being green. And that's where us owning the assets has been a godsend to us. We do what we know works that gets them a return on investment. The clients quickly start to understand, actually, you're the experts in doing this. We'll just listen to you. We just want inquiries for what make us money. And that's all that we try to deliver. We look at what makes them money. We deliver on what makes them money. We get paid. They get paid. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you were talking about as far as like that granularity of targeting. Man, on the local level, that is everything. It is everything. Yeah. I mean, we have, it's so interesting. Like, we have this one client that's, you sometimes you'll have a campaign where, like, you've done everything by the book, and it just, for some unknown reason, a site just will not get past a certain point, right? It could be just age, it could be not enough links, whatever it may be. So I did a little experiment. I was like, you know what? I'm convinced that I can rank for this so easily if I just got an exact match domain. So I got a pure, like the purest form of exact match domain around their core, their core offer. It was like, their service plus Houston, basically, .com. And with it, and by the way, I went and registered a business in Houston as well for their specific one. So just to do the full, like, local pack and everything. And within about 2 weeks, local pack, organic's already there. The site has no links, nothing, because it's so incredibly granular. And I've tested this, like, across the board. Like, I have a little example I do in the academy, which is stlouisseoconsultant.com. It's one page. It's literally one page, and it's an exact match domain, and it works incredibly well. So I drove links to it, built out a good page. And, if you're Google, like, you want to deliver the most relevant result. So this is why, like, the whole thing about you have to build topic authority, you have to create all this. That's not always the case, right? So especially when you get into, like, the granular kind of what we're talking about, at least.
Yeah. So exactly that. And sometimes it's frustrating where you speak to some SEOs. Obviously, Nathan, you're at a ridiculously high level. So when we're talking, you straight away, okay, I get that. But some SEOs think that it's the same in every industry, and it's just not. Like, it's like in the finance market, you do need topical authority. You can't just go and get an AMD and build one page and hit loads of traffic to it.
Definitely not.
But in some industries, 100% that's what you can do, and that's where you've got to know where you can win and how quickly you can win, and is it worth the return on investment? And if it is, then double down on it. But EMDs and PMDs still to this day work so well; it's unbelievable. So well. And it's crazy because some say, "Oh no, that's so black hat, and that's so 1999," and you're like, it works. Look at the
local results. I mean, proof is in the pudding. Look, like at least in the US, I don't know where you are, but at least in the US, you look at pretty much any local results, you're going to see exact match name businesses ranking local pack. I mean, it's just a fact, right? There's some exceptions, obviously personal injury, just because it's been hit so hard with spam. So now basically all that's been taken out. But for most other industries, it's all exact match. I mean, pretty much everything. And then I have these conversations with these businesses that are branded, they're legit. I'm like, why can't we beat these guys? I'm like, you're not going to beat them. They're too relevant. You're not going to beat them. So it's frustrating. I get that. It's definitely frustrating in that regard, but it just goes back to Google being a relevance machine, right? It's just a relevance machine. So,
but what they could do though is it's almost like a PBN network, but for every service that they do, they could do an exact match around it. So if there was a lawyer and they did divorce lawyer, yes, okay, have your big, nice branded site that looks pretty and that's your shop window of who you are. But create a divorcelawyer.com or whatever's available kind of site. Create
their lead generation sites.
A family attorney site that all goes back and filters back to you. It just makes it so much easier. You can't mess up the internal linking on it because it's just about divorce lawyer and that's it. Yeah. The topical authority is just about divorce. It just only get links about divorce. Nothing can go wrong when it's like that. When you try to do these multi-topic type sites, you need to be high-level SEO. Otherwise, you quickly start siloing things the wrong way and everything just messes up. Nothing.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, because I've seen it so often. I've literally been trying to tell a lot of businesses, I'm like, it would be easier for us just to build a new site and just dominate this one little pocket of your vertical instead of trying to do it on this big monstrosity of a site. And it's a hard thing for some clients to wrap their head around, So, but from a return on investment perspective, it's literally better because it's easier to rank. You need less resources to rank, and you're going to dominate for the long term. So therefore, your return on investment is going to be higher.
Sometimes I think a client will say, if you think of a business owner and you say, build a second site, they probably think you're saying that because you're going to get twice as much money because now you've got two sites to optimize. So they become very scared about the situation, which is why, again, it kind of plays in our hands. We say, look, we won't charge you for the site. We won't charge you for the site. We won't charge you for the content. It's our site. We'll just generate. You tell us what you have your site over here that's nice and pretty. You tell me if divorce lawyers where you make money. I'll build you a site on divorce lawyer. You just pay me a cut of the commissions that you make, and just give us a finder's fee of what makes you the money. And then they're actually happy to do it because then they're not taking any risk, and they think you're not going to be able to rank it. And by the time you have got it ranking, they're like, probably are thinking then, should have done it.
Yeah.
But sometimes they've had their fingers burnt by so many cowboy SEOs that fake it before they make it and all that. And it's not fair on business owners to a certain degree. Like there's no legislation, there's no regulations put in place of who's a good SEO and who's a bad SEO. People just go, yeah, I do SEO. And there's no certificate, there's no training, there's nothing to say whether they're good or bad. And they go and take the £2,000 a month for 6 months, don't rank them, probably put them in the worst position of where they started, and then leave and they can't do anything about it. And I think it needs cleaning up. I think it needs maybe your Gotch SEO Academy has been the...
I mean, we're trying. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny you say that because that's like the rationale. We have our like certificates, and I know certificates don't really mean anything, but for us, it means something because we have this SEO mastery certificate, and the requirement is you have to actually get results. You like, it's not just you can take a test, right? Like taking a test doesn't mean anything. This is like, you go through school. It doesn't mean that you actually know how to do anything. Right. Yeah. So that's why, like, for me, it was so critical that we have something where it's like, no, you have to prove that you've actually used this process to get results. And come to find out, only a very small percentage of people have actually earned that. Right. Yeah. So
I tell you what, I've had a few employees that have done your training, and they absolutely sing it from the rooftops as being amazing. I owe you quite a lot, if I'm being honest, Nathan. I've got a lot of employees that every video you create, they're straight away watching it.
Oh, I appreciate that.
The value that you bring to the SEO community is unbelievable. It's brilliant.
Appreciate that.
But my question to you is, how do you know how many people that sign up to your training that actually finish it? Because I do. I get stories, so many sign up to training.
Yes.
And 90% of them don't even come to finish the training. It's like they'll watch a few videos and go, I know what I'm doing, and go off and do their own thing. Yeah. What's your percentage then, Mike?
I'm so happy you asked that. Now, I won't talk too much about my program, obviously, because I want this to make about you. But funny thing is, in 2018 or so, my training was doing well. I had the traditional model, like the launch model, open up for a week and you join and then close it and that type of thing. And basically you join for like $1,000. So I was like going through it and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then but then one day I was like, I'm going to look at the back end data. I just want to see like how people are going through the training. For some reason it came to me. I'm like, I just need to look and see. And I was so disturbed when I started to look at how many people were not using my training. It actually it literally put a pit in my stomach, because I'm like, why would you not use it? Like, you go through and you get results and you make money. Like, why would you not want to do that? To me, it was so mind blowing, because Strengths Finder, I'm a learner. So in my mind, I'm always thinking about learning. So for me to try to understand was very difficult. But crazy part is, I think it was about 15% of people never even logged in. Okay. They did not even log in to the platform. They paid. They didn't ask for a refund. They didn't do it. They didn't even log in. So that was like problem number one. I'm like, oh my gosh, why are people not even logging in? Like, I have failed. That's the way I viewed it. Like, I have failed them because they have not logged into the program. So that was the first part. The second part was to come to find out your percentage was spot on, by the way. It's about 10 to 15% of people make it all the way through a training. Of that type of model, right? So this is why I met my business partner, Simon, and in 2021, we changed the whole program and increased the investment much higher. But one thing I added was that I do these coaching calls now every Tuesday and Thursday. And I've done almost 250 of them now at this point. Yeah. And so now this is where it gets interesting. Our completion rate is 80% now.
Ah, superb. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of kind of mechanisms we pulled for that to happen. Like the community, we built a custom platform for the training. We have all these things in place to really really give people value, because unfortunately, you've been in this industry for a long time. There's a lot of guys who have come and gone out of this industry, right? Yeah. Big names who now are maybe in crypto or whatever else it may be. They've just gone from one thing to the next. Not a lot of guys like you who've actually stayed with it for this long. It's not a lot of guys. It's a small handful. And so we all know that a lot of people have been burned, right? That's just the nature of it. So that's why I'm doing my best, at least, to try to make that not the case anymore. Trying to give really good training that actually drives results. So anyway, enough about me. But one thing I wanted to ask you is, on the rank and rent side, I think this is a very fascinating business model. And I think a lot of people have a hard time doing it the right way. And I think there's just because there's some kind of logistical problems that I think people deal with. So okay, let's just walk through the process. All right. You pick a niche. All right. So obviously I'm assuming you're picking niches that have a pretty high customer value, I would imagine. So you're not going after hot dog stands. You're going after, people who can actually fork over some good dough. So you're picking those types of niches. You're creating a like we mentioned, very focused website that will rank very well. Are you going for the local pack in this case, or are you just going pure organic?
So our method to start with is we actually don't go very, very niche specific to start with. So prime example, I'll give you one as being roofing, right? We'll enter roofing, just general everything related to roofing. And you've got flat roofing, blue roofing, biodiverse roofing, slate roofing.
Are you going big metropolitan city or subs, a smaller city outside of the main?
We're going big. We're going big. Okay. So we build out one big site, and then it's almost like spray and pray, or throw as much mud at the wall and see what sticks. And then what we start to do is we build this site and we just give the leads away for free to who's interested in roofing leads, right? And then what they start to do is people.
Are you emailing them or directly calling them for the lead, to give them the leads?
So we've got VAs in the Philippines that just outreach to every single roofing company that we can find in the UK and say, look, we might be generating some leads that you might be interested in. There might be some stuff you don't do, but there might be some in there that you do. Would you be interested? I'm not going to charge you. You can delete the ones that don't work for you and keep the ones that you convert. So we go that big, and then what starts to happen is 6 months, 12 months down the line, they start saying, we've just converted a job. How can we get more of these? So then we start then talking to the client, what did you convert? Oh, heritage. Oh, I didn't even know what heritage roofing was. Where are you based? Oh, you're based in Essex. Okay. And then we start, how far do you travel? So then all that we do is the rank and rent method makes it very easy for us we know that if we tell a client it's going to cost you £20,000 to build the site, I can't afford that. That's generally what they're going to say because they don't know whether it's going to rank. We know that we need to put £20,000 generally in for content and links. We then ask them for all the photos, the videos. We make sites that the users like. We're giving people a site that is heritage roofing, heritage photos, heritage videos, the content's quality, and it's going to a heritage roofing company. Like it's their, in our eyes, it's their site. We just get paid a marketing fee, which we call a rank and rent model. At first, we do it where they might pay per lead, and we might charge them just a little, £5, £10 a lead. We don't charge them much to get the foot in the door. And then what starts to happen, Nathan, is 2-3 years down the line, a lot of these businesses, they might go from 2-3 vans on the road to 20 vans on the road. The business owners can't sleep at night because they actually start to say, whoa, hold on a minute. You could switch us off tomorrow. And I've got 18 vans here that I couldn't fulfill. And there's families and stuff like that. And we're sat on a gold mine where we could put a lot of people out of employment. So, and sometimes I've got to make certain that my staff do everything I've got a vision statement where everything's got to be done with honest, trust and integrity. That we don't, if someone did come along and say, oh, I pay £5 a lead more, we won't just switch them off. Like, we've built a relationship with this client. That site is that client's site, even though it's ours, it's their site for the longevity of them paying for the leads and for the conversions. And then they normally end up asking us to invest in the company. So they're not, and some even just say, we'll give you 20% of our business. And it might be a 3-4 million, £5 million revenue turnover business that might be making a few £100,000 in revenue. And they're giving us 20-30% of the business as long as we put the assets into the business. And it allows them to sleep at night. They've grown to numbers that they couldn't have grown without us. They're happy to give like 20-30%. And it's almost, that's where we've gone down the road of being almost like an investorpreneur, where we go in then and help their sales generation. There's other stuff like we own a call center in the UK as well. So if ever there's an overflow, too many inquiries are coming through, it can go through to our call center. They can take the initial calls and then kind of turn it into sales generation instead of a lead generation. So we're just business people that enjoy working with other successful business people and trying to make them as much money as they can. And in turn, then that will lead to us earning more money. But money for us isn't the driving factor day to day. It's how can we make our clients more successful? And obviously that will turn into us making more money, but we actually do care about them. We care about the employees that they have. Like, I try and go on as many Christmas dues as I can with these different businesses and stuff like that, and have a good time with them and celebrate the successes, like enjoy the journey. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, some people say, why are you still doing this? Like, you could just be on the beach drinking pina coladas and chilling out. And I'm like, I just love it. I love the giving back. I love my staff, seeing them progress. I love the clients being successful, and it just works all around.